Hey friends, so I love my matching appliances, but you know what I want? A matching apron. So I have this fabric. It's time for a sewing project. On my bedroom floor, I'm gonna lay out my fabric with the picture size down. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm gonna take an apron and lay it down on top of it. This is my gardening apron. So next I'm gonna trace about 1 or 2 inches around the edge. Okay, now that I've traced with my marker, I'm going to remove the apron and cut along the line. Okay, now I have the apron cut out. I have 2 squares for pockets and I have strips for the ribbons. This is actually my first time using this sewing machine. I bought it like a year ago, so it's time to use it. I was so confused where to put my thread till I pulled that up. Figured it out. Okay, so the thread goes through here, down and around, over through here, and then I just went around that way through here. And now I'm going to thread my needle. There we go. This is called a bobbin. It is my bottom thread. I put it in right here, just like that, going this direction as the arrow shows. Then I'm gonna pull, using this right here, I'm pulling my needle down to pull, one, I gotta hold this down while I do it. I'm gonna pull one thread through. As you can see. And then I pull it out like this. Pull my bobbin thread through. Now I'm going to take this right here, put it back exactly where it goes, okay? Now I'm going to be folding over my fabric twice and sewing it. I'm actually choosing to pin it. You don't have to, but it makes your life a little easier. I'm pinning it down so that I can have a more perfect seam. All right, so I just pinned this one side, then I'll sew it, then I'll pin the next one. If I pin up the whole apron, I'll end up sticking myself while I'm sewing and it'll be very frustrating and painful. So I'm just starting off with a short little line that is folded over and pinned. As I go to sew each part, I will be removing the pin before I sew. There's a lever back here that I'm pulling down to pull this down. Oops, I'm gonna be sewing over here though. And pull it down. I'm going to make sure my settings are where I want them to be. Okay, this is stitch width. I have it on a 4. Over here I have it on straight, so I have it on a 6. I'm going to be pressing down on the pedal while guiding it slowly with my hand. I can lift up on the pedal at any time. I'm pulling it to guide it. Usually I have my other hand right here, but I'm filming as well. Okay, I'm lifting it up right here. Oops, I gotta turn this until my needle is up. And then I'm going to pull out my thread, give it some length. I'm going to trim it with my scissors. There's also this blade on the side for trimming thread as well. So as I go along, I have this pin cushion that I'm putting my pins into, and this is my trash for any scraps or thread. Now I'm going to fold down the top 2 times and pin it, then sew it. So I have this short top pinned and I'm going to sew it now. Oops. I made a rookie mistake, and actually this is good for beginners to see, is my thread came undone. You have to hold on to your thread as you begin, otherwise you could lose your thread. So I have to rethread my needle right now. There we go. First try it went through. That was pretty good. All right, so you gotta hold on to your thread so you don't lose it. So now I have my thread under the foot. This is called the foot. And I'm also holding it down. Let's go. You can go any speed you want. I'm just showing slowly because we're pulling out our pins and I'm showing you how it's done. Pulling out another pin. Trying to do this one-handed. Two hands are preferable. So I'm lifting up the foot and I'm going to pull it out, and I actually trim it right here. Oops. There we go. To trim it off. All right, so we're going to pin and sew each of our sides. I may not show them all, but I wanted to say the reason why I folded over twice is so that that prevents our fabric from unraveling. We don't want our fabric to unravel, and we want to have this nice clean edge, and we sew it on the back so that on the front it looks like that, right? All right, let's go. This is looking super awesome. So that's what the back looks like. Let me show you the front. All right, here's the front. Looking good. Next up, I'm going to sew some ties and some pockets. The pockets are just a smaller version of the big one. We're going to do one side at a time, pin it down, sew it, and do it all four sides. Occasionally, your thread will get caught and you'll end up with this knot. You just have to cut it off with your scissors and start over. Much better. Now we can continue. As you can see, folding and sewing makes your pockets quite a bit smaller. That's why you want to start off with a big square. And the challenge here is to try to get these squares to be the same size. Wish me luck. Here's a little trick to getting them the same size. Line them up to make sure. Okay, so I made them both the same size. Yay, that's nice. Here's what they look like. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna sew some ties. Okay, first I lined them up and made sure they're the same length. I did a little bit of trimming. Now I'm going to sew them. Okay, so I only pinned them to show you, but I'm folding them in like this, and then I'm gonna fold it in half. It's not gonna be pinned until it's on the outside. All right, here's what it's gonna look like all the way down, and I'm gonna sew it. Okay, so there's one. Now I've got to do a few more. Okay, I now have two of these ties. I think I only need one more. All right, so here's our pieces. We are almost done, my friends. So we're just gonna sew it together. I don't even know if you can see it, but I'm setting the pockets exactly where I want them. Then I'm gonna pin them down and sew them. With both pinning and sewing, I'm only gonna pin 3 sides and leave the top open, obviously. Don't pin it, don't sew it. Okay, so if you can see it, I have them pinned on here and here. Let's sew them. Once again, just a reminder, we are sewing the side, the bottom and the side, and not the top. All right, to do a corner, you have your needle down. You put your foot up and you turn. You rotate, okay? You rotate all the way. Straighten it out. Then you put the foot back down and you continue sewing. All right, this is another corner. I'm doing the same thing. I have my needle down. I'm lifting the foot and I'm rotating the fabric at a 90-degree angle to do the last side. All right, here we have one functioning pocket sewn on. We're gonna sew one more pocket on. There you have it, my friends. 1, 2 functioning pockets. Now, I don't like how narrow this top is, so I'm actually gonna fold it under and sew it one more time. Okay, so I've pinned it, now I'm gonna sew it. All right, great, that's looking awesome. I'm just holding this up with the ties to know how long I want it. Okay, so I'm gonna sew right there, but I'm actually gonna switch over to number 3 zigzag. So that's how it looks. It just holds it in place better. It looks, stitches look a little too tight on the back, but I'm gonna let it be. I switched it to 4 just to see if that helps with the stitches. Let's go. Once again, it looks good on the front. It looks a little tight on the back, but I'm just gonna let it go. Okay, these little corners on the sides is where we sew on our other ties. On the inside, I'm gonna line it up right here and do the same zigzag. Looks great, one more to do. And with that, I believe we are finished. Let's check. Looks awesome, time to try it on. And it fits perfect, the pockets are great. Awesome, thanks for watching, bye.